Hello neighbor, this is Kurt with eTrailer, and today we're going to take a look at these Gen-Y running boards, and we're going to see how they fit and how they install on our 2025 Chevy Silverado 2500. Now, a running board is really a great way to reduce that step from the ground up into your vehicle, especially if the vehicle is lifted a bit higher off the ground like we have today with our Silverado 2500. Not only is this particular running board going to reduce that step, it's also going to help keep the inside of your vehicle clean because it doubles up as a boot scrape. We've got all these notches along here that's going to make it really easy to get that gunk and that mud off of your shoes and your boots before getting in and out of the vehicle. So it's also very heavy duty. It's going to have a 400-pound weight capacity. It's going to run the length of the vehicle from door seam all the way to this door seam, so it covers it completely. You can position it closer to and further away from the vehicle as well. So this is a really durable powder-coated steel. So it's going to be extremely rust and corrosion resistant, and it's graded. So, it runs all the way through. It's not going to gather up any kind of ice or water or anything like that. And cleaning them is really easy, just by hosing them off really good or by running them through a car wash. So let's take a look at just how much this is going to help us get in and out of the vehicle. From the ground to our door threshold right here, we're looking at a distance of about 27 inches. So that's just over 2 feet. That's a pretty good step up to get in and out of here without a little bit of assistance. Using our running board, we're going to reduce that first step to about 16 3/4 inches. So it doesn't quite cut it in half, but it does make it significantly easier to step up and get into your vehicle. So it installs using these 4 bracket placements, and there's no drilling involved because it's going to use the factory mounts that already exist underneath your Silverado. It's also going to require very few tools on your part, so follow along and I'll show you exactly how we got these on our Silverado 2500. All right, so we're going to talk first about bracket location. Now, underneath your Silverado 2500, you're going to find 6 total mounting points, and they're going to be identifiable through these plugs. You're going to find a plug at the bottom of the frame that'll go up vertically, and another one matching it right above it. Now, we've already removed the plug up here, and those 6 mounting locations are going to be identified like that. But if you're removing factory running boards, you're going to find open bolt holes once it's removed in your first location. The second location is going to be plugged up. The third location is where the bolts for the factory will go, which is why we don't have a plug in that one right there. The fourth location is going to have a plug. The fifth location is also going to have a plug. And there's a sixth location that is going to have open bolt holes from the factory as well. Your first location is going to have open bolt holes from the factory running boards. But for these running boards, you're going to be using the first, the second, skipping the third. We're going to be using the fourth, skipping the fifth, and using the sixth. So you're going to have 4 total brackets for these running boards. But the first thing you do, once you find those 4 locations, is go ahead and get a trim tool, flathead screwdriver, whatever you need, and go ahead and get those plugs out. Now, since this third location here, which the factory was in, is not going to be used for these running boards, I'm simply going to replace the plugs in there so that we could protect any gunk and grime from getting up in there. In case we want to switch running boards later on down the line, we'll have that option without, having to get out a wire brush and get it cleaned out. Each of your brackets is going to line up. It's got an ovular hole here, so it could be slightly adjusted if necessary. And it's just going to go on just like this. Now, the brackets are side specific, so you want to make sure all of the tabs that are on the bracket are facing the front of the vehicle. And at this point, what we're also going to do is we're going to get 2 sets of these M8 bolts and grab our 13mm socket. Each bolt is going to have a flat washer and a lock washer with it. And what we're going to do is, for now, we're just going to kind of loosely thread these in We don't want to tighten it down completely because, again, we want to have a little bit of room to maneuver when we get the board on. It'll just help us line that up when it's time to get that board attached. So I'm going to get it snug, but not completely tight, so that I can move it a little bit. You know, and if you do have a little bit of issue getting these in for any reason, you got your 13mm socket to help you out if necessary. Now that your brackets are in place, go ahead and grab your running board and set it on the brackets. Now, the running boards are side specific, so there's an easy way to determine that. You're going to have one end of the running board be squared off and the other end be at an angle like this. You want that angled end facing forward. Another good way to determine it is in the middle of the running board, we see Gen-Y etched into the back of it. Whatever end is longer from that is the end that you want toward the front. So go ahead and just rest it up here on your brackets, and you're going to have pieces like this in your kit. And the way that this is going to work is it's just going to drop in place in these more squared off sections here all the way to the back of it. And what you want to do is drop them in and get the bolt hole that's in it to be lined up with the bolt hole on the bracket. So as I drop that into place here, one of the things about this is you're kind of free to put these in wherever you want, but if you want the absolute best coverage, the one that's all the way back here to the back, drop it into that last square. What's going to happen after that is the end of your running boards are going to line up right with your door seams, and to me, it's going to create a very functional and a very clean look. So once you do that, one of the things about these brackets is that they can have a pretty tight tolerance in there. So if you have a rubber mallet, or if you don't, a wood block and a hammer will work. Go ahead and tap that down into place. Now when you have it lined up with the right bolt holes after you tap it in, go ahead and grab the shorter bolt. This is a 1/2-inch bolt and the corresponding nut to go with it, and just drop that right in there. Then go ahead from underneath and thread that nut on. It doesn't have to be snug and tight. In fact, we don't really want it to be that. The holes in the brackets are ovular, same as on the bracket that we attach to the vehicle. So what I really want to do is, because I want to use as much of this running board as I possibly can with the door open, I like to move it all the way out. So that would be all the way in. I like to position it to where it's out as far as it can go, and really be able to use as much of the running board as possible. But once I do that, I'm going to drop bolts into each of the other 3. And again, not tighten them down completely quite yet. But once I get them into position, we're going to go ahead and grab our 1/2-inch socket, and we're going to get those tightened down. Now, it's a good idea to have a 1/2-inch wrench with you as well, just to, hold that nut and keep everything from spinning. Once you've got everything hand tightened down in position, just grab your 1/2-inch socket and grab your 13mm socket and get everything tightened down. Once you do that, go ahead and grab your torque wrench and get them tightened down the rest of the way. Now, pay attention to your instructions, because each bolt size has a different torque spec, so pay close attention as you're getting those tightened down. And that'll do it for the installation. And if after watching that you decide maybe this is still a little more than you want to tackle, go ahead on our website and check out our dealer locator. You can find an installer near you that can help get these onto your Silverado 2500. And that's a look at the Gen-Y running boards on our 2025 Chevy Silverado 2500. And if after watching this video you've still got some questions, or if you've gone ahead and installed these yourself and have been able to use them for a while, share your experience with them and your questions in the comments below. Sharing those with us and other neighbors just like you can help them make the best decision for themselves. Once again, this is Curt with eTrailer. Thanks for stopping by.